Hey book readers, and happy fall, y'all. I'm going in a slightly different direction with my autumn recommendations. Rather than leaf peeping, let's go book peeping with 18 book jackets that fit the season's palette, starting with red. The Accidental Time Machine by Joe Haldeman. Life isn't exactly going Matt Fuller's way. And then, whoops-a-daisy, this brilliant but underachieving grad school dropout creates a time machine that's steadily jumping farther and farther ahead in time. It's a short sci-fi and a non-stop thrill ride. The premise is simple and the characters are, kind of shallow, but if you like time travel tales in a similar vein to The Time Machine, this underrated book overcomes those flaws to provide an entertaining read. For One More Day by Mitch Albom with a beautiful burgundy book jacket. Another shorty but goodie, For One More Day is an inspirational work of fiction. The main character, Charlie Chick Bonetto, has hit rock bottom and decides to take his own life, but then fails to do so. Shortly afterward, he returns to his childhood home where his mother, who has been dead for 8 years, is waiting for him and acts like nothing has happened. Here's what the book jacket says from there. What follows is the one ordinary day so many of us yearn for, a chance to make good with a lost parent, to explain the family's secrets, and to seek forgiveness. It's a touching story of a mother-son relationship that just might make you tear up. No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. You've probably seen the movie already or read the book, but if you haven't, this is an essential Western crime thriller with quick, punchy writing. It's bloody and evil at times and pensive at others. This is an absolute classic that should be on everyone's list. Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. Here's a classic YA fantasy book that was published 20 years ago. It's similar in ways to The Never-Ending Story, where an evil character from a book comes to life, and the main character in the real world, in this case Maggie, must become like one of the magical heroes she's read about in other stories in order to save the day. It's definitely in the category of books about books that book lovers will love. The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is a short and strange horror novella focused on a woman who suddenly refuses to eat meat. It's a nightmarish ride from the protagonist's initial decision to her subsequent actions and the startling conclusion. You better hang on to something while you read this one. It's a little crazy. Now we're momentarily dipping into a russet brown hue for the book jacket of We Are Legion, We Are Bob by Dennis E. Taylor. A man named Bob dies and becomes the bodiless consciousness and pilot of an interstellar probe. His mission? To replicate himself to create more probes and search for habitable planets while avoiding destruction at the hands of other AI probes that a couple of other countries have launched. It's a fun sci-fi adventure with pop culture references aplenty, sort of along the lines of Ready Player One, but not as obnoxious. Now we're heading into the orange category of book jackets with The Martian by Andy Weir. Before Matt Damon portrayed Mark Watney on the silver screen, our favorite foul-mouthed scientist existed only as a character in this book, where he's stranded on Mars and forced to use every ounce of his brainpower and engineering skills to survive and make his way back home to Earth. Eifelheim by Michael Flynn. Another lesser-known favorite of mine, this historical science fiction book builds momentum as it goes. By the end, it's a total page-turner. The gist of this story is that a contemporary historian and his theoretical physicist girlfriend realized that in 1349, one small German town disappeared and was never resettled. So they start trying to solve this history mystery. The book jumps back and forth between present day and Eifelheim in the 1300s as the Black Death creeps ever closer and an alien spaceship crash lands near the town. Wunderbar. The Chaos Function by Jack Skillingstead. This is a little-known sci-fi time travel thriller that poses the question, if you could save the life of someone you love, but it might harm lots of other people, would you do it? It's an edge-of-your-seat ride that examines implications of the butterfly effect, or how that one seemingly tiny change can make big waves. Influx by Daniel Suarez. A revolutionary scientific breakthrough is swept under the rug by a shadowy branch of the government, tasked with slowing down technological progress by not sharing it with the public. The inventor of this high-tech innovation is then imprisoned with other doomed rebel brainiacs, and he has to try and escape to bring down the shadowy government organization. But in order to do so, he'll have to outsmart his captors, who are armed with gadgets beyond his wildest imagination. 15 Dogs by Andre Alexis. The gods Hermes and Apollo make a bet. Apollo believes that if any animal was as intelligent as humans, they'd die unhappy. So they make 15 dogs at a vet clinic smart. This book is written from a dog's point of view, which is really unique. And it touches on topics that are kind of deep, like individuality versus group dynamics, growth versus stagnation, and the relationship between obliviousness and happiness. Sand by Hugh Howey. In a future dystopian world, everything has been covered in shifting sand dunes. Sand diving for long-buried treasures is how one group of siblings eke out a living in this world. However, one of the most dangerous dives ever undertaken to a legendary city far below will change everything for this family as the truth about their world and abilities is discovered. Into Yellow we go with The Life and Times of Persimmon Wilson by Nancy Peacock. This is a fairly obscure historical fiction novel, also described as a rip-roaring, old-fashioned adventure romance that needs to be added to everyone's TBR list ASAP. I'll let the book jacket do the talking because it's a great synopsis. 1875, Drunken Bride, Texas. An ex-slave named Persimmon Wilson awaits his hanging for the murder of the man who once owned him. As he waits, he pens his story, from the brutality of slavery on a Louisiana sugar plantation to a ranch on the Texas frontier to life among the Comanche Indians. All through his travels, Persimmon Wilson seeks the one person he loves, a light-skinned house slave named Chloe. When he finds her, she is passing for white and is the wife of their former master. This book has some serious examination of assumptions about identity and truth. And seriously, this video inspires you to do just one thing. I hope it's that you'll read this book. It deserves to be enjoyed by way more people. Recursion by Blake Crouch. I'm firmly on the Blake Crouch bandwagon. Anything from him is a must read for me, as I consider him one of the best sci-fi authors of his generation. This book of his deals with time travel and memories. Like every good Crouch book, it'll have you equally parts baffled and spellbound as you rush to finish it and wrap your head around it. Really wish I could read this one again for the first time. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. A mix of fantasy and mystery, this novel unfolds as the main character, Clay, works his graveyard shift at a curious little 24-hour bookshop. There are a good amount of secrets and adventures all crammed into this short book about a store where everything isn't quite what it seems. And finally, we're into the green section, starting with Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. If you need a kick in the pants in order to adopt a vegan or vegetarian diet, give this book a shot. It takes a hard look at eating traditions, where our food comes from, and why we should perhaps consider an alternative to the status quo. A Whole Life by Robert C. Taylor. This book is about a simple, solitary man named Andreas Eggers, who lives in a small mountain village in the mid-20th century. In this 149-page book, we see big and small moments through Andreas' eyes as he deals with nature, love, war, and progress throughout his life, remaining even-keeled throughout it all. A Whole Life quietly explores the incredible joy and sorrow a person can experience in an ordinary life, with questions about the meaning of peace and happiness. In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. In a world ruled by robots bent on destroying humanity, a boy, Vic, and a trio of his robot/android friends go on a quest to rescue Vic's android father from the robot's capital city. While the dialogue shines in this book, there's plenty of introspection too, with the only human left in the world, Vic, as well as the robots doing a lot of thinking about what it means to be human, have a soul, exercise free will, and love someone or something else. There you have it, 18 books that fit fall's palette. Thanks for going on this colorful book jacket journey with me, and let me know if there are other autumnal book jackets that you like. And also remember to like and subscribe. Happy reading.